to run around out there. Hey, this Oakland A's team is interesting. They're plus 40 in run differential. Their starting pitching's real good. They can hit. They can't field. They're tough to figure out.
They really are, and they're sitting in last place in the American League West. So that tells you a little bit of what's going on here in Oakland. Of course, Sonny Gray is the anchor of that pitching staff. The starters' ERA is really phenomenal. The relievers, not so much, and that's part of where they're getting in trouble. Tyler Clippard only has 13 saves on the season. That has been a problem. Their offense hasn't. They're scoring some runs. They're driving in some runs. So that's something to look out for tonight. But if you hit the ball anywhere, it doesn't matter if it's on the ground, in the air. They have 75 errors. I mean, the next closest team is the Texas Rangers. It's not even close. They've given up 40 unearned runs. Like 40. That's a huge number, and they're just not playing good defense. So they got part of the equation as far as pitching, and none of the equation as far as defense, what leads you to championships.
Yeah, usually if you're plus 40 in run differential, you're talking about a team that's 7, 8, 9 games over 500, and they're 10 games below 500. So go figure. The Rockies will put a lot of pressure on this guy to continue his streak. He has been unconscious. 15-game hitting streak. Nolan Arenado's rolling. Rockies roll into Oakland. Come on back with us.
Here's the starting lineup.
Well, the Rockies were in San Francisco. They've made their way across the Bay Bridge for interleague play as they'll take on the Oakland Athletics over the next 3 days. 2 evening ball games and then a Wednesday afternoon affair before the Rockies head to the desert to take on the Diamondbacks over the weekend. Welcome to O.Coke Coliseum in Oakland. The Rockies and A's. Last time the Rockies were here, as perhaps you heard during the pregame show, they swept the Athletics. That was back in 2009 as the Rockies won 92 games. It is a return to where it all started for Walt Weiss as a big leaguer. He was the 88 Rookie of the Year. #1 pick of the A's back in 1985, the 11th overall out of the University of North Carolina. Made his debut in 1987 and had that fine rookie season in 88. All Walt knew back then was postseason play because every year the A's went.
Well, that's because they had a bunch of Rookie of the Years. You had Canseco, you had McGuire, they had Dennis Eckersley closing out ball games. So that's what the A's were. They were a playoff machine.
And in Walt's career, he only had 2 sub-500 seasons as a player. As Walt would say, being very humble, I knew how to pick my teammates. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead things off for the Rockies this evening. No surprise there against Kendall Graveman, the young right-hander for Oakland. Here's the Southwest batting order tonight for Walt. DJ LeMahieu will bat second. Then Tulowitzki, who brings a 12-game hitting streak into the ballpark tonight, will bat third. Nolan slides up to the 4 spot. Again, riding the 15-gamer. Cargo will bat fifth. Remember, Cargo got his big league start in an Oakland A's uniform before being traded, most notably for Matt Holliday. Willeen Rosario next, Ben Paulson, Nick Hundley, Brandon Barnes. Of course, the DH is in place, and you see that the DH is Willeen. Kendall Graveman, an interesting story, 24-year-old out of Mississippi State, was an 8th-round pick of Toronto back in 2013, so he's gotten to the big leagues quickly.
Yeah, he only had 41 minor league games. He was 17-10, and only 10 starts at AAA, so he was on that fast track. Came up and started the year, just wasn't very good in his first 4 games, 1-2 with an 8 ERA. Went down, got a little seasoning back in AAA, comes back up, and since then, pretty impressive. 3-2 with a 231 and a 253 batting average against.
You know, guys get sent out, especially when they're young, all the time, and you hope, okay, we'll see a little bit of improvement when they return. He's had a lot of improvement since his return, as those numbers would suggest. So Graveman's in a really good spot over his last 4 ball games. In fact, just a 186 ERA against.
He's a sinker, cutter, changeup, curveball mix.
Yep, he'll throw the whole lot. And the first pitch of the ball game's outside ball 1. One thing to keep in mind is this is a pitcher's haven. It is not only a big ballpark, but the foul territory, because it's a football stadium, as many of you know. The foul territory is larger than any place else in baseball, and it's not close.
I'd probably say it's double of what every other ballpark is in the foul territory. The dimensions themselves, I mean, 330 down the lines, but 367 in the gaps is a little short, and even 362 into even more left center than the 367. It's short there, higher wall. But dead center field, 400.
Right, and that's strike 3 on Blackmon. But it always seems to play bigger than that.
It does, especially at night. I mean, kind of a familiar refrain, what we say out here in the Bay Area and then out in California.
Number 9.
Let's take a look at the A's defense. As Huey mentioned, they've made 75 errors, 14 more than the next poorest team in baseball. And the big culprit has been the young shortstop, Marcus Semien. He has made 23 errors. And the next poorest shortstop in terms of kicking the baseball around, surprisingly, is Ian Desmond of Washington, who has 17.
And that's not what you want. If you're the Oakland A's and you got a sinker ball pitcher on the mound, you want to have airtight defense. But the left side is just not very good for the A's.
Yeah, Brett Laurie next to him at third base has made 13 errors. So the only guy in the American League with more is the former Gold Glover Chase Headley, now with the Yankees.
Yeah, between those two, they have 36 errors combined. Compare that to Tulo and Nolan, they have 13 errors.
1-2 on DJ LeMahieu. The A's come in 34-44. The Rockies 33-42. Of course, the Rockies trying to snap that 13-game losing streak on the road against American League clubs. It's not the worst ever since interleague play began in the '97 season. The Dodgers, about 10 years ago, lost 15 in a row in American League ballparks. That's bounced to Eric Sogard, who has been playing pretty good defense. He gets a little help at first from Mike Davis. 2 outs. Well, that'll bring up Tulowitzki.
Batting in the third position, shortstop, number 2, Troy Tulowitzki.
I wonder how this works for a player, Jeff, because the Rockies just went from the raucous downtown ballpark of AT&T, where the Giants are always good, and they're the 3-time world champs in the last 5 years. The A's have always been good. I mean, they've gone to the postseason the last 3 years, but it's a sparse crowd. It's a football stadium. It doesn't have the atmosphere inside or surrounding the ballpark. Is it hard to get up?
Yes, it is. Very hard, because it's easy when you're playing in front of 40,000 people, 42,000, 370 consecutive sellouts across the bay. That's fun. There was an atmosphere. The Rockies, you heard it. We've had some sound bites, how they like playing there. And then you come here, and you can hear the hot dog vendor. I mean, that's how sparse the crowd is.
Clearly.
It is hard to do it. So you have to get yourself up mentally.
That's a called strike at 92 on Troy. Home plate umpire is Dan Bellino. Ryan Blackney's at first. Tom Hallion at second. Alfonso Marquez is at third. And a walk to Troy. So that will allow Arenado to hit here in the first. Time now for the big hits presented by Mako. Turn the car you drive into the car you love. I mean, basically every day you can find a couple of Arenado shots that were big hits. He had a 2-run first inning home run off of Madison Bumgarner to give the Rockies the quick 2-0 advantage. And then he hit one in the 9th inning off Sergio Romo. He hit 4 in that Giants series.
They were big home runs. I mean, whether it put you ahead or tied the game up. It seems every time you need a hit of a big magnitude that this guy's involved in it. He's making it happen.
He is on a phenomenal run. That's on the corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ball, 2 strikes. Nolan leading all of baseball now with his 68 RBIs. You may have noticed when we showed the Rockies dugout a moment ago, this ballpark doesn't have fencing in front of the home dugout or the road dugout, the visiting dugout, but it's a really odd angle because again it's so far back.
This is turned away from the field, unlike other dugouts.
This is in the air to right center field. Josh Reddick is over there. He makes the catch, and the Rockies go fairly quietly in the first. Tulowitzki walked. He's left aboard. Oakland Athletics from the O.K Coliseum. And that is Billy Burns, and he's been quite a story here in Oakland, taking the American League a little bit by storm. An unheralded player who can really run. He's one of the best rookies in baseball this year, riding a 16-game hitting streak, which is the longest in the game, for obviously the Nolan Arenado. And a little speedster up top for Bob Melvin, and after that it'll be Stephen Vogt. He's having a terrific year. He's been the best offensive catcher in the game so far this year. Then Ben Zobrist, Josh Reddick with plenty of pop, Billy Butler, first season since moving from Kansas City, Ike Davis, Brett Laurie, Eric Sogard, and Marcus Semien. And on the hill, David Hale, who is from Marietta, Georgia, and he's going to look in at Billy Burns, who is from Marietta, Georgia.
I'm sure they had a few matchups in their youth, but for David, he needs to get back to what he was doing his first 3 starts, and that was attacking the strike zone when he was 2-0. That's a good first pitch, exactly what I was talking about. Get that sinking fastball back down again. Because there's only one guy on the A's that he's faced before, and that's Ike Davis. So both of these pitchers are going to have the advantage, at least early on in this game, because the hitters aren't familiar with them.
Well, 1 pitch, 1 out. That works. Here's the Rockies defensively. Again, it's Barnes in left. Charlie's in center. Cargo is in right. He knows this outfield well. Started his career as a center fielder here in Oakland. Nolan Arenado, Troy Tulowitzki, DJ LeMahieu, Ben Paulson with Nick Hundley doing the catching. Here is the left-handed hitting catcher, Stephen Vogt. "13 home runs, 53 RBIs, the most of any catcher in baseball. In fact, 53 RBIs leads the American League. This is a long run, and Barnes can't get there, and it's a single for Stephen Vogt.
Just fought this ball off to left field. He went away with the sinking fastball off the end of the bat. Kept it fair by a couple feet. Brandon cuts it off, gets it in, because Steven was thinking about taking second base.
The versatile Ben Zobrist, he's always played a multitude of positions. Valuable for a long time with Tampa. Zobrist takes a strike.
He can play short, he can play second, he's playing left field today, first base.
He was really struggling with the bat the first couple months of the season, hitting .202 through June 13th, but .383 the last couple of weeks. He's at a Dallas Baptist, which has become a national power in baseball.
They had over 40 wins. I think it was 47 wins or something like that this year. They're ranked pretty high, had a high seed in the region, in the regional tournament in the NCAAs.
I know Cody Houston this year at Abilene Christian. They played Dallas Baptist. Cody and Kyle with you on the trip. We were talking about that earlier. He said they were really impressive.
They smoked him a couple times and pretty easily.
2 balls and a strike on Zobrist. This is a Billy Beane type player. Can do a multitude of things. Like that delivery by Hale. Curveball for a strike.
Well, you have to throw the curveball and the changeup to keep the hitters off the fastball. And if you put it in the bottom of the 4th strike zone, it's even better.
Good changeup, and the foul tip was held by Nick Hundley. Did not hit the ground. Zobrist hung around for a moment, but that's the second out.
Takes soft hands and a little bit of luck to hang on to this ball. Changes direction. You put your glove down at the bottom. Now, Ben's trying to say it hit the ground, but it did not.
So that'll bring up Josh Reddick with 2 outs and nobody on. And this ball is well hit to right field. Cargo's hoping for a play, and There is none. That's a home run. That's off the facing of that overhang. That's a 2-run home run for Josh Reddick. And the streak is over for the A's. They had gone homerless in their last 4 games. Reddick lines one out of the ballpark to make it 2-0. 11th of the year for Reddick.
And the 9th home run that David Hale has given up in 6+ starts. Now that's just a pitch that's too much of the plate. Cargo trying to play it off like he's got a chance to catch it. That was a rocket out of here.
Now the struggling Billy Butler at the plate. Off the end of the bat, and that's going to drop for a single. 3rd hit in the inning for Oakland. Butler yesterday had an 8th inning double in their loss to Kansas City, which snapped an 0 for 15. The A's had won 5 straight heading into their series with the Royals this weekend here at the Coliseum, and they were swept by Kansas City, lost 5-3 yesterday afternoon. David Hale's given up a bunch of home runs. We talked about Kyle Kendrick's issue yesterday with the long ball.
Well, and 2 out hits and home runs. Yesterday the Rockies gave up 3 of the 6 runs with 2 outs. Here today in the first, both these runs are with 2 outs.
Mike Davis had a quad injury and missed a month, so his power numbers are way down, but he has the ability to hit it out to all fields.
Just remember, and you know this well too, that Ike Davis was supposed to be the guy forever in New York for the Mets. He was going to be their power hitting first baseman.
I think they finally found one in Lucas Duda. And that misses. 2 balls and a strike. Ike Davis grew up in a baseball family. His dad, Ron, was a pitcher, pitched with George with the Yankees. And Ike was quite a pitcher at ASU. In fact, Ike got in a game recently in a blowout.
A lot of position players recently have been getting into games.
Fastball for a strike, 2-2. And this ball's lifted to deep right. This one's going to leave the yard. 2-run home run, Ike Davis. Talk about putting yourself behind the 8 ball early. It's 4-0. And David Hale's not out of the first frame.
Well, the first home run he gave up to Josh Reddick was on a fastball. This was on a changeup. Right out of the hand. Excuse me, that was a slider. I was just looking at the velocity. It just didn't go down to his back foot like he had planned. It stayed flat, and like Davis hit it out.
Third baseman Brett Laurie at the plate. And the former Blue Jay takes a strike. Two hops to Tulowitzki on the move. He will throw to first, and that ends the inning. But a pair of 2-run home runs has given Oakland a 4-0 lead on the Rockies. 2-run shot Josh Reddick, 2-run shot Ike Davis.
Headed to the top of the second, where Carlos Gonzalez is going to lead things off for the Colorado Rockies. You know, Cargo originally in Oakland A back in 2008. He did return here in 2009, just 15 games into his Rockies career. Now 745 games in. Cargo said a lot has changed.
I keyed the loss in the world when I first came up here. You know, but really good memories, you know, playing in the big leagues for the first time. Playing with great players like Eric Chavez, Hall of Famer Frank Thomas. You know, I learned a lot that year, and you know, it's a special place when I come over here.
So as much as people knock the Coliseum for being one of the worst ballparks in Major League Baseball, Carlos Gonzalez said he actually enjoyed his time here so much he didn't know any different because it was his first year in the big leagues playing here on his home field. So he did say he'd enjoy being back. The first time he returned in a Rockies uniform, he was 4 for 7 over 2 games with a triple and a double. So hopefully today he can find some more hits, guys.
Not this time. He's going to ground out to the right side, 3 on the right side. Well, you go back to the trade. The two protagonists obviously were Cargo and Matt Holliday. And since the trade took place, this is interesting. Now, Cargo has not been as healthy as Holliday. So Holliday has played more games. The batting average is almost identical. The OPS almost identical. The number of home runs almost identical. The ribbies are not. 599 for Holliday, but again, he's played a lot more games, and Cargo 459. But that turned out to be a good trade for the Rockies. If they felt like they could not re-sign Matt, you had to get plenty in return for one of the game's best players, and they did.
And you've had Carlos here for a number of years. Matt was only here for 2 or 3 months before he left and then went to St. Louis.
And what the package of players that the A's got from the Cardinals never really panned out.
No.
We saw one of the guys recently, Shane Peterson.
Yeah, there was some names on there. You kind of fit Brett Wallace.
Brett Wallace, who was supposed to be, you know, one of the future stars, if you will, in that trade. And so often happens it didn't work out that way. Willeen Rosario pops this one up. Semien, the shortstop, will make the catch. 2 outs. What you also have to keep in mind is the Rockies got their closer for the next few years, a guy who's still going strong now with the Angels, in Houston Street. Ben Paulson, 2 outs, nobody on.
Graveman's just grabbing the baseball and hopping right back on the mound, not wasting any time in between pitches.
No, he's not. He's working with good tempo.
As he's catching the ball, he's walking back up the hill.
Got a good changeup. Been able to locate it well also. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Paulson. Goes back to the fastball. It's now full, 3-2.
Good eye from Ben.
And that's a base hit. Rockies first of the game. Paulson goes the other direction. And with 2 outs, he's aboard for Nick Hundley. Rockies fans, join in on the conversation. We invite you each and every night to send us thoughts, photos via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Make sure you include the hashtag Toyota Talk.
Nick Hundley.
We're talking about Stephen Vogt being one of the better offensive catchers, really the top offensive catcher by numbers this year in baseball. Not tremendously far off is Nick Hundley. I mean, Nick hasn't hit the home runs, driven in the number of runs Vogt has, but the batting average is right there. Nick's been really solid.
Oh, Vogt was a 300 average coming into the game. Nick's 298. That puts him in the top 4. Vogt was number 1. Nick is 4th, 3rd in the National League.
And Vogt typically hits in an RBI, more of an RBI spot for Oakland. That's why they felt Derek Norris could be expendable. Vogt was about to arrive as an offensive player, and they felt like he was a little bit better defensively also.
Reminds me of A.J. Ellis with the Dodgers, and only in the fact that it's arrived a little bit later for them, because Vogt's 30 years old. A.J. was 28, 29 before he got a chance to play every day for the Dodgers.
Sometimes it works out that way. Who was the Phillies catcher a few years ago? Was it not Ashe? Ashe obviously still there's third baseman.
He was 35 or 34.
Yeah, he was in independent leagues, and it was when Ruiz got hurt. Nick drives this ball to right field, but Reddick will move back and make the catch, and the Rockies are done in their half of the second. Paulson had a base hit. That's it. They trail 4-0. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by your hometown Toyota stores. Let's go places. By Courtyard by Marriott, Western Elegance in the cultural heart of the city. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your local now at southwest.com. Rockies down 4-0 as David Hale gave up a pair of 2-run home runs in the first. Josh Reddick and Ike Davis. The 8-hole hitter is Eric Sogard, the second baseman for Oakland. And Hale's first delivery misses ball 1. All 4 runs with 2 outs. That's been an issue for the Rockies of late. Getting that 3rd out. Hale's fastball on the outer edge for a strike. And that's going to get through the right side, a base hit. I was just sitting up there saying hit me. It was an all-speed delivery, Huey, but it was chest high.
And those are easy to adjust to. David Hale, I said his first 3 starts was 2-0, but his last 3 is 0-3 with an 8 ERA, and it's because of pitches like this. It's a changeup that's up, So your natural reaction for the hitter is just to continue to go after the ball, and then when it's a slower speed, you could just fire your hands right at the baseball. They don't run a whole lot, but when they do, they're 47 out of 57 stealing bases. It's a pretty good percentage.
Here's Simeon, the shortstop, and he takes strike one.
Bob Melvin, everybody kind of remembers him with Arizona, but he's done a great job since landing over here in Oakland.
He's done a really good job. Team nobody talks about, but they always get to the postseason, it seems like. No pitch. Take a look at Bob's staff, and you'll see an old friend on it at third base, Mike Gallego, the third base coach, and a real good one for the A's. Darren Bush handles the hitting chores. Kurt Young is the pitching coach. Ty Waller's at first. Mike Aldretti for Mike, and this should be two. So the Rockies turn it over, and that'll bring up Billy Burns again with 2 outs and nobody on.
Now batting, number 1, center fielder, Billy Burns.
Billy Burns has a 16-game hitting streak. He's 2 for 5 yesterday. And what a find. I mean, he's a 32nd round pick.
A lot of times 32nd round picks aren't even offered a contract.
Or if they are, if you draft them, you use them as a filler. You know, you need guys down in rookie ball to fill out some clubs.
Well, last year he had 6 at-bats in the big leagues. He was 1 for 6. And a shattered roller to short. You got to get rid of him quickly the way he runs. Tulo does. And it turns into a short inning for David Hale. We'll go to the third. The A's leading 4-0.
Right there off to my left. Congratulations to him, National League Player of the Week. It was a huge week for Nolan Arenado, and it didn't have as much to do with his glove as it had to do with his bat. Nolan collected 9 hits over the course of the week, 7 of those being home runs, and he had 3 multi-home run games. It was a very special week for Nolan, and Walt Weiss said he's actually really surprised that Nolan's at 24 home runs.
I got to say, I'm a little surprised by the number of home runs. I mean, he's hit a lot of home runs. And like I said, we saw the power coming, and we always thought he's going to have good power numbers. but to be amongst the best in the game, it's really been a special run for Nolan.
Well, in addition to his week that comprises 6 games where he hit .391 in those 7 home runs, he had 14 RBIs in that time. Nolan's currently on a 15-game hit streak. Of course, he had that 28-game hit streak back in 2014. And I will throw back to you guys with this, Drew and Jeff. 7 straight games of at least a hit, a run, and an RBI coming from Nolan Arenado. That is impressive.
That's a crazy streak. I'll give you another one, Jenny. Nolan has a hit and a run scored in a club record 12 consecutive games. Since 1914, the longest was Doc Kramer's 16 in a row back in 1944. He has had some kind of June. I was asked on a radio show today if I've ever seen a month like this, and the only thing comparable was the September 5 years ago that Troy Tulowitzki put together 15 home runs and 40 RBIs.
Well, it seems like every ball he was hitting was out of the park.
This is a big bouncer up the middle, and Barnes is going to get thrown out by Sogard.
I'm just glad that Nolan did it in front of Bruce Bochy. Not that he needed any extra help to get to the All-Star game, but doing it against Bochy, who's the manager of the National League team, is not going to hurt him.
Did you read what Andrew Susak said after he had that 3-run double that pushed San Francisco in front on Saturday night, the big blow? And he hit a rocket down the third base line. And his reaction was he said, I must have hit it really well because it's hard to get anything past Arenado.
You got that right.
Blackman caught looking his first time up, and he looks at strike 1. 1 out. Rockies down 4-0, top of 3. Yeah, Charlie yesterday had only 1 plate appearance. He came into the ball game in the 8th inning. He struck out in his only plate appearance, and that snapped an 11-game hitting streak for Chuck Nasty. The off-speed pitch taken by the first baseman Ike Davis by himself, 2 outs. Who wants tacos? When the Rockies score 7 or more, you know the drill. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6. Get your Rockies taco special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. DJ at the plate. He grounded to second in the first inning. Rockies have had 2 base runners, a walk to Tulowitzki in the first with 2 outs and a 2-out single last inning by Ben Paulson against the 6'2" right-hander Kendall Graveman.
Well, since Graveman's come back, he's walking fewer guys, striking out more. And we're talking to some of the people with the A's, said, what's the difference? They said when he went down to AAA, he had a chance to sit and chart a few times with Barry Zito. Zito really helped him.
They're getting some mishit ground balls, so that sinker's working well. It's a 1-2-3 third for Kendall Graveman. 4-0 Oakland. reaches of the Coliseum, and they've honored some of their greats: Reggie Jackson, Ricky Henderson, Eck, Raleigh Fingers, Catfish Hunter.
I played against 2 of the 5 of those guys that are up on the Ricky and Eck. Back when I first started coming here, there wasn't that extra section out there. They added that later on. It was just where those seats are underneath to start with, and then they added the sky boxes.
And it's been ongoing for years. Both the Raiders want and need a new stadium, and the Oakland Athletics want and need a new stadium.
So who's going to win?
Stephen Vogt at the plate, yeah. Stay tuned. Vogt lifts it to left. Barnes is out there. 1 out. A's made a number of moves in the offseason, but isn't that true to form? They made more moves than anybody before the trade deadline last year when they picked up, obviously, Jeff Samardzija and the left-hander Lester, and both of those guys moved on. Lester's not on that list because he was a free agent, but the A's went out and got Davis, Laurie, Graveman, Simeon to take over the shortstop spot. Tyler Clippard came from the Nationals.
I think if there is one they could have a do-over on, it'd be for Josh Donaldson. That one's hurt them.
Yeah, and Jason Hamill's probably thrown the ball better than any of the guys. I mean, Samardzija has a mid-4 ERA. Hamill has an ERA under 3 with the Cubs, former Rocky. 34-year-old Ben Zobrist at the plate. And David Hale throws a little slider, misses there.
I mentioned about Zobrist, 565 games at second, 229 at short, 34 in center, 88 in left. I mean, that just tells you the versatility when you're talking about that many games at all these different positions.
Just an athlete. Originally from Illinois. Talked about him matriculating at Dallas Baptist. Another opportunity for Barnes. And Brandon's got it. 2 outs. Josh Reddick will be next. With every challenge call, the Subaru EyeSight review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Now batting right fielder, number 22, Josh Reddick.
Reddick hit a bomb to right his first time up with Vogt aboard. He's always had big pop.
The 11th home run of the season came back in the first. Fastball inside, and Josh just walloped it to left.
He had 32 home runs a couple of years back. He's another Georgia kid. Man, has that ever become a hotbed for baseball players?
I wonder if he was a product of that Cobb, Georgia.
Yeah, the East Cobb program. Strikes out there. I don't know. He's over in Savannah. I don't know. Maybe he traveled in. 1-2-3 inning for David Hale. 4-0 Oakland. Mark, thank you. For the Rockies here in the fourth, it'll be Tulowitzki, Arenado, Gonzalez, 3, 4, and 5 against Kendall Graveman. See if things improve second time through the lineup for the Rockies. And that'll be a base hit for Troy. And the hitting streak rolls on. It's now 13 in a row for Tulowitzki.
Also raised his average, came in at .313, which was 6th best in the National League. Second time through the lineup, you start to get a feel of what a pitcher has, how the ball's coming out of his hands, what it's looking like.
Arenado in his first at bat hit a fly ball to right. And Nolan hits a bouncer to second. He's going to have to get up the line to avoid a double play. He cannot. Graveman has gotten a great number of ground balls early in this game.
Now batting, number 5, Carlos.
4 of the last 5 hitters have hit it on the ground. Cargo hit it on the ground his first time up into the shift on the right side. Cargo came up. Frank Thomas, the big hurt, was his teammate.
I saw a picture of Big Frank. I forgot at the end of his career that he came over here. But there was a picture down by the locker room with Big Frank in the familiar number 35 in green and gold.
A 1 on Cargo. Cargo told me a funny story before the game. He said that the big hurt, you know, he's looking at him, you know, in awe. And he said the big hurt would call him the franchise because, I mean, he was a valued prospect. Came over from Arizona in the Dan Herron deal. And he kept calling him the franchise. Cargo said, "You're a Hall of Famer." And so a couple years later, when Cargo made his first All-Star team, he ran into Frank Thomas at the All-Star game because Frank Thomas was always an All-Star,
Yes.
right? And he said, "I told you, you're the franchise."
When you have somebody of Frank Thomas's ilk saying, "Oh, you're going to be the franchise,"
Yeah.
because he's seen a lot of players come and go.
Yes, he
He
has.
knows who's good, who's great. And for Frank Thomas to drop that on you, it wasn't just a kidding, "Hey, here comes the franchise," because you talk about yourself so much.
Yeah.
No, it's because your actions.
3 and 2 on Gonzalez.
But big Frank Thomas, he could hit the ball a mile. He'd stand off the plate and then just get his arms extended.
But he wasn't, you know, the recent Hall of Famer, not just a power hitter. He was a terrific hitter.
He would take his walks, too. I mean, it wasn't just a swing from the heels, try to hit it out every swing. But no, he would stand way off the dish.
Ball 4. Cargo draws a walk, so he's aboard with 2 outs. And that'll bring up Willeen Rosario. 521 home runs for the big hurt, and he batted .301 in his career.
Willeen Rosario.
Willeen popped out in the second. 7th time in Rosario's career he's been the DH. Everybody for the Rockies has been overshadowed by what Nolan has done, but quietly Willeen's put himself in a good place offensively.
Hitting 311 now. 5 home runs, 17 RBIs.
Tough to take that pitch. It was off by a ball and a half. Just the action came out of the hand. Looked like a fastball. Cut away at the last moment.
Another check on Cargo. Cargo with just a couple of stolen bases this year. And it's not really a place to run down by 4 runs, and you have a guy that can hit it out of the ballpark and cut the deficit in half.
Yeah, Voigt's throwing out 32% of the runners, so none of that leads you to try to steal a base.
Now, during the month of June, Williams hitting .357, which is the 4th best average in the National League. His teammate Tulowitzki at .367. Maikel Franco, the young player for Philadelphia, is on top. Bryce Harper, we know what kind of year he's had, not just June.
Franco was also up for Player of the Week honors. Brett Gardner of the Yankees won the American League Award.
Graveman with a strikeout of Rosario to end the inning. That's his 2nd strikeout. Cargo's left at first base. Middle of 4. The A's up 4-zip. Ford Escape, smart, safe, and fun to drive. Ford Escape, go further. By Southwest Airlines, book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. The A's leading the Rockies 4-0 on a pair of 2-run home runs in the 1st inning. Josh Reddick and Ike Davis. And Billy Butler is going to lead things off in the 4th against David Hale. Hale had a 1-2-3 3rd inning. 2-2 record for David coming in. Butler had a broken bat single to center in front of the home run by Ike Davis in the 1st.
It's the 2nd start out on the road for David. His other one was down in Miami on June 13th.
And Hale falls behind 3-0 on Billy Butler. Butler last year with the with the American League champion, not world champion, American League champion Royals, batted .271 with 9 home runs, drove in 66. 8 seasons a Royal. Center field and deep. Blackman is going to leap and can't get it. It's gone. for Billy Butler, his 6th home run of the year, and that's the 3rd big fly of the game for the A's off David Hale. Well, when you watch the replay of this swing, you're going to see a guy who's very powerful get his lower half involved.
Well, he gets a leg kick, gets everything going back before it starts to go forward. So he gets all the momentum like a rubber band as you start to pull it back and then release it. And he knew it. He had that low to high finish that the home run hitters have. Charlie's going back, think he might have a play on it. He said the run so far really didn't have the timing to get up and make a huge leap. Back to Charlie. He's running back. He wouldn't have had it anyway, but he gave it a valiant effort.
Two on Ike Davis. Fastball's high. 1-2. Davis, a 2-run home run to right in his first AB. Hit 32 home runs for the Mets in 2012. 2-2. Idea what a kind of contrast it is. Going from AT&T across the Bay Bridge, or on BART if you prefer.
That's how I came over today, on the BART.
Bay Area Rapid Transit. 41,000+ every night at AT&T. Tonight's announced crowd, 12,125.
Yesterday was 41,795, or the 368th consecutive sellout. Fans Movie Night is back on Sunday, July 12th. All fans are invited to stay and watch The Rookie following the game against the Atlanta Braves. Purchase a movie night ticket package to access the field for the movie and receive a special blanket. The movie with Dennis Quaid.
Brett Laurie at the plate. And they're not counting the Seagulls. That's 12,125 human beings. Good section still available. This is where you have a chance in foul territory. Long run for Ben Paulson. We were kidding Nolan Arenado before the game, saying you're going to lose a couple pounds today chasing foul balls.
A lot of foul territory, but what you also have to be aware of, like over in San Francisco, is the pitcher's mounds.
But they have them different than most ballparks. Usually you throw the same way that you will out on the hill. They have them going the other direction.
Yeah, so the pitchers are throwing towards the outfield. Doesn't make much sense.
Ground ball to Nolan. He's got it. Laurie's retired 5-3. Eric Sogard, the second baseman, will come up.
Now batting, second baseman with 28.
Well, if you think about all the teams in baseball, Tampa would fall into this classification to a certain degree. Most teams have a downtown area that you can build a ballpark. We know what it has meant to Load Oak, Coors Field, and the businesses surrounding lower downtown, and how much it has revitalized that whole area.
Well, even across the bay. I mean, considering where Candlestick was in relation to downtown San Francisco.
Yeah, it was how close to the airport. Well, that goes foul. This stadium is very close to Oakland International Airport. It's not in downtown Oakland. It's just, you know, kind of out there. It does sit next to the home of the world champion Golden State Warriors.
Right next door.
Right next door. They share a parking lot.
That's the walkway coming from the BART over to the stadium.
1-2.
That's what they have to determine, whether, you know, if you put one downtown, will that be for the Raiders, or will that be baseball, or the baseball going to move to, you know, down the road to San Jose? But they've been talking about it for how many years now? 6, 7 years?
On both sides.
And it just doesn't seem like anything gets done. They just table it to next year.
Two on Sogard, and that's on the ground of Paulson, and Hale broke late, so Ben had to take it himself. In the inning, Billy Butler hit a home run to center field. It's 5-0 A's. He wants.
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm saying you can get any seat you want. Looks like you have a pretty good perch right now. It's from Adam Avina. All the way from Pueblo to root on our Rockies. That's awesome. Love seeing Rockies fans out on the road. We've mentioned it quite a bit. Ben Paulson's going to lead things off. He had a base hit the other way his first time up. Rockies with just 4 base runners, a pair of hits and a pair of walks. That's it against Kendall Graveman, former Mississippi State pitcher. Rockies have not had a runner to second base yet. Graveman is out of Alexander City, Alabama.
You said an 8th round, 235th pick overall. 6'2", 185 pounds.
You know, he looks bigger than that on the mound, doesn't he?
He does. That's why I had to double check in the media guide to see.
Well, maybe he had a growth spurt.
Yeah, maybe, because sometimes these stats are when they first sign.
It's one of those balls that's going to land in foul ground, but nobody can get to. Zobrist was the closest. Is that our friend? I can't identify our friend.
No, we've lost track of them. It's like when they move the ball underneath the hat and you have 3 hats and they're shuffling them all around.
Yeah, there's only about 300 birds flying around right now.
Josh is protecting his head and his Oakland A's hat.
A leadoff walk to Paulson. Well, What I want to know are these just baseball groupies? Are these the same birds that we see at AT&T Park?
No, probably not.
Well, you think these are East Bay residents?
Yeah, these are East Bay. The other ones stay over on the other side.
I see.
Although they could have come over because the Giants aren't at home tonight.
The Giants are down in Miami, ready to play tomorrow. Nick Hundley's never had a hit against the A's. He's 0 for 21 against the Oakland A's. Trying to end that right here. Good swing, 0-1.
The rooftop is a place to be during baseball season. You arrive early for pregame festivities and beer specials before first pitch. The rooftop. In fairness, it's just a 7th game. It might be 0 for 21, just 7 games.
Zobrist is going to get to the line to make the catch. And Huntley's retired. Brandon Barnes hit a ground ball to second. Brandon will come up.
Now batting, number 1, Brandon Barnes.
Barnes came in hitting .318 against right-handed pitching. It's Corey Dickerson on the disabled list again. Brandon's been playing virtually every day in left field.
At the start yesterday with the left-hander on the mound in center field.
Barnes was telling me that this is the only ballpark, the only time he's ever gotten thrown out of a game was here in Oakland. He had turned on a pitch that was in. He'd already got hit once in the game, and he turned on a pitch in. This is going to go foul. And it struck him on the elbow, and home plate umpire Alan Porter said, "Stay right there." And he argued for a moment, and then he struck out on the next pitch. And as he walked off, he said, you know, that had some words with Alan Porter, and he didn't get thrown out until he got to the dugout.
That's the guy that for Washington the other day was thinking the same thing when he had the perfect game going.
That is a soft line drive, and they'll get the double play at first. Rory doubles off Ben Paulson. You'll think of it when we come back. Middle of 5. It's been all Oakland. They're up 5-0. They've hit 3 home runs tonight.
It's the old shell game, folks. Keep your eye on the ball as it
Walt is making his return for the first time as a manager. He did play for the Oakland Athletics for 6 seasons. In fact, he was drafted by the team in 1985. He was the 11th overall pick, the first of the A's. He won Rookie of the Year in 1988. He won a World Series in 1989. And I got a chance to talk to him earlier today about that special rookie season.
It was sink or swim for me. I mean, I was a rookie playing with a bunch of veteran guys. We were expected to play in the postseason, and you know, I had to learn how to play the game the right way immediately because Tony wasn't going to have it any other way, and neither were my teammates. So I think it helped shorten that learning curve for me.
Brandon Barnes with the catch to make the first out of the inning. For Walt Weiss, some of those greats included Mark McGwire. He played with Mike Gallegos. Carney Lansford, he said he learned from. He even got the chance to learn from Don Baylor, who was playing his last season here during Walt's rookie year. And, of course, they played for the great manager in Tony La Russa. He said he has so many fond memories. And walking into the Coliseum, not a lot has changed. A lot of those familiar faces still around, Drew.
Yeah, one thing you notice when you walk the back hallways of the Coliseum, you almost think you're falling back to, 25 years ago in that, there's pictures of Dave Stewart, there's pictures of McGwire and Canseco. I mean, you go back even further than that, Vida Blue. And it's not that you shouldn't honor the past greats, but it struck me as a little bit different in that there's a mural when you walk in one of the gates that has McGwire and Canseco on it, because most teams, yes, they honor their previous terrific players, but you have a lot of the current players also. I didn't see many of that.
No, it was a lot of guys from the late 80s, early 90s, some before that. But you used to think it coming in here as a visiting player, and Tony La Russa's managing, and you mentioned that, but you had Dave Stewart on the hill, or somebody like that. You had Dennis Eckersley that was closing the game. You were just hoping you'd come out of the series with a knock or two.
Yeah. 2 hops to Arenado. He fires, and he just did get Billy Burns. Burns is second in baseball, and as you watch him run, it's probably not a surprise what I'm about to say. He's second in baseball to D. Gordon in infield hits. He almost had one there.
Well, and it only took a strong throw from Nolan. A good thing that Ben Paulson's 6'3" and has a 12.5-inch glove to reach up so high. Use the base as an extra 2 inches. Keep the toe on.
Now batting, the catcher,
Billy by an eyelash.
5 in a row set down by David Hale. And Stephen Vogt, who's 1 for 2, a single in the first inning, will come up.
Real quick to finish that story with Max Scherzer when he was going for the perfect game, and Jose Tabata was who I was trying to think of when he stuck out his elbow.
Yeah, he had the gear on. I still am a little surprised.
I am too.
They awarded him first base. Vogt last year hit .279 in 84 games, 9 home runs, 35 driven in.
The catcher from the Phillies we were trying to think of, Chris Coast.
Chris Coast, yeah.
He was 33 years old when he was filling in for Chooch.
And there was Eric Kratz, right?
Yes. Chris Coast was the guy that I was thinking of that had played independent ball.
A couple different teams, right?
It took him forever to make it to the big leagues.
Killer at a Cleveland game. Base hit the other direction for Vogt. So with 2 outs, Ben Zobrist, who's 0 for 2, will come up.
Ben Zobrist.
Zobrist's best year was with Tampa in 2009. At just under 300, 297, 27 home runs, 91 driven in.
Just looking to see how he got here, and I knew he was traded from Tampa Bay, but who he was traded for. You know who also was in that deal for Zobrist? Boog Powell. Yes, Boog Powell. Not the same one you're thinking of, though. There was another kid that named Boog Powell.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Joe Jasso, Daniel Robertson, and Boog Powell in cash.
Sold him on Boog Powell. Boog's pretty.
He could still
Boog's
play.
past his prime. Two and one on Zobrist. And a good pitch by Hale. It's 2-2. Boog's hitting 328. Tampa's organization in Double-A. I apologize, Boog. Great stop, LeMahieu. Out at second base. DJ made the great stop, and then he flipped it in time to Tulowitzki to get the force on vote. Great play. 5-0 A's. The long ball has plagued David Hale tonight. Reddick and Davis 2-run home runs in the first. Billy Butler a solo home run a short while ago, and the Rockies have not reached second base yet against Kendall Graveman. Charlie Blackmon will lead it off, top of the order against Graveman. A strikeout and a ground ball to first for Blackmon. We're already into the 6th inning.
Just 76 pitches for Kendall.
Now, this is what he's been doing of late. Last four, a 186 ERA. They haven't been scoring many runs for him. In his 11 starts, they scored 1 run or less, 5 of them.
The starters for the A's, 3.13 ERA.
Now, that's been good. The bullpen, which was so good a year ago, has really had a tough time.
They've had 14 blown saves. That's tied for third most in the major leagues.
defense we discussed earlier has been abysmal. 40 unearned runs allowed. You know who's in their bullpen now? It's gone back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen, and sometimes he's had to go back to AAA. Drew Pomeranz.
They have 3 left-handers out in their pen with the addition of Drew.
3-2, and that ball's hit well to right, but moving back, making the plays, Reddick.
Fans, you want to come out and enjoy the best fireworks show in town on Friday, July 10th, courtesy of Coca-Cola and King Soopers. Tickets always go quickly for fireworks, so get yours today, Friday, July 10th.
There's Pomeranz. Drew's numbers on the year: 2-3, a 3.88 ERA. He's been in 20 games. He has 8 starts. Stuff's pretty good. I mean, the league's hitting just .231 against Drew.
I'm sure he's matured. Different team, different league.
Wow, that went off the bat of LeMahieu, and then it struck Stephen Vogt. Got him on the foot, it looked like.
He's got to jog out to the pitcher's mound. Check swing. DJ tried to hold up. They just feel for catchers. They see them so many times after the game. They just have a t-shirt and some shorts on. They got bruises from head to toe. They're in the ice bucket. But that's what they signed up for. Doesn't make the pain go away, but they know it's part of the deal.
Yep. And DJ fouls that one off.
Nice catch.
Mark McGuire out there. Two on LeMahieu, and that's on the ground to Semien.
Well, Marcus Semien had 23 errors, and that's part of the reason why they brought Ron Washington back. Former A's coach for a long time, the Texas Ranger manager. He's here as a, I guess, infield consultant. There's Ron. He'll throw batting practice, hit ground balls during the game, or during batting practice. But during the game, he has to sit up in a box. Can't be down in the dugout.
He's always been a player's manager, player's coach. Guys really like working with him. Tulo, a walk and a single, so he has a 13-game hitting streak. He's reached in a career best 29 straight. It's the best active stretch going in the big leagues right now. Rockies barely hit a ball hard tonight. And there was a sharp single by Paulson in the second. Tulo hit his base hit up the middle, fairly well. A lot of mishit ground balls tonight against Graveman.
Well, 8 ground ball outs, 7 fly balls, but not hit hard, just lazy fly balls, a couple strikeouts. That's just what I mentioned a moment ago for Kendall Graveman. He's also attacking the zone. 55 strikes out of the 89 pitches. Just 34 balls.
That ball is ripped to center field. Another base hit for Tulowitzki.
Now that one was hit hard.
Yes, it was. Home runs all time in a single month. Nolan has 12, along with several other Rockies you know about. Holiday, Castilla, Big Cat. Vinny did it twice. Dante did it in August of '95. Tulo stands atop the list with 15 in September of 2010. And there's a day and a half left in the month of June in 2015. Nolan in the game today, a fly ball to right, and he grounded into a 4-6-3 double play. His 15 road home runs leads all of baseball right now. It's also already tied for 10th most in Rockies history for a single season. The most road homes ever was in Larry Walker's MVP season of '97. He had 49 home runs. 29 of the 49 came out on the road.
And you know what I was happy to hear today was Ken Rosenthal, the Fox National baseball guy. He tweeted that out, saying that, hey, look at his numbers and what they are out on the road. So finally somebody is taking notice that it's not just Coors Field.
Other than us.
Yeah, other than us. Yes, exactly. But a national.
Yeah, good for Ken, again, good for Ken Rosenthal to just
do his homework.
Do a little bit of homework. Doesn't take a lot. You know, it's the same thing we just mentioned with Walker. And he won the MVP in '97, but you heard people griping that, well, it's Coors Field, that sort of thing. And 49 home runs, 29 out on the road. Come on. And that'll keep the hitting streak alive, make it 16 games in a row. Nolan just kind of served it to center field. And now with 2 outs and 2 on for the first time, it'll bring up Carlos Gonzalez.
And that's how you keep hitting streaks alive. By just reaching out sometimes and hitting a pitch that's off the plate. Don't even finish your swing. Why? There's not even a finish on this swing. It's about a half to 3/4. I'm just making contact. I'm not going down looking. Just punch it to center.
Ike Davis obviously was saying something very complimentary to Nolan Arenado, because you heard him. I mean, you couldn't hear him, but you saw him turn around and say thank you. Cargo at the plate. Ground ball to short and a walk. Ground ball to short was really a ground ball on the right side of the A's defense. Now with Tulowitzki at second base, Simeon has to hover around the middle of the diamond. Let's see if the Rockies can break the ice here. Down 5-0. It's the 6th inning already.
Billy Burns for the A's 0 for 3 tonight. 3 ground ball outs.
Came inside with the fastball on Cargo. Getting a little action now in the A's bullpen. Evan Scribner's gotten up. He's worked so quickly, it doesn't seem like 97 pitches.
With only 4 hits.
He has walked 3, and now he's behind 3-1.
First time tonight the Rockies have had a base runner in scoring position.
And Cargo hits it to Davis, and he'll get it to Graveman to end the inning. Well, the Rockies got a couple of hits. Tulowitzki and Arenado, they're left aboard. It is 5-0 A's, middle of 6.
And it's time for the Sports Clips.
Five to nothing. The final look, voting continues, but this is the final time we can glance at where the votes are prior to the announcement of the starters. So the National League has Matt Holliday, despite being hurt for a little bit. Matt's in left field. Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, the other starters in the outfield. Take a look at it again after this pop out by Josh Reddick. Nolan's got it. So Peralta at shortstop, D. Gordon at second, Matt Carpenter at third, Paul Goldschmidt deserving at first, and Buster Posey's behind the plate as of right now.
Todd Frazier making a hard charge at third base.
And hopefully Nolan does as well. Get out and vote.
And I like that. Just drop what you're doing and go vote.
You can vote online up to 35 times. Billy Butler a single and a home run to center field. Well, that slider looked like it was a strike. And Nolan right now is fourth. Tulo is third among shortstops, and LeMahieu inexplicably is not in the top 5.
There's going to be a couple second basemen that might be left out that are deserving, and just hope it's not DJ's one of them.
Nolan comes up with it. He knows who's running. He's such a smart player. He had time to get Butler. He set his feet after the pirouette, and they're 2 outs. Here's the American League. The Royals no longer have 7 starters. They just have 5 right now. The former A Josh Donaldson is now in there at third base for Toronto. Miguel Cabrera, as he should be, is leading at first base. And the always popular and very gifted Mike Trout, one of the outfielders. Off the plate, ball 1 on Ike Davis. 2-run home run to the first and a ground ball to second.
I was going to say, I wonder if they're going to do anything about the All-Star voting after this year.
I think some of it will depend, honestly, on what happens with the Royals in this stretch run of voting.
If they end up getting 4 or 5 guys in.
Or more.
Or more.
Left center field, and Ike Davis is going to have himself a double.
what Ike Davis did a lot when he first came into the league, and then he just turned into a guy that tried to hit a lot of home runs.
Tried to hook everything.
Tried to hook it at Citi Field. Didn't work out very well for him. Got out of his swing. Now back here in Oakland, starting to go the other way more again.
Brett Lawrie.
It's just a nice, compact swing. Not much of a load or a stride. And then drives it off the base of the wall. 12th double of the season for Ike.
Brett Laurie's hit it on the ground to the left side twice, once to Tulo, once to Nolan. Two-0 on Laurie, who's a native of British Columbia. And he reaches for this one, and Tulowitzki will call off Nolan in short left field and make the play. Good range by Troy. Left at second, Ike Davis. We turn the page to inning number 7. It's been all A's. They're up 5-0. It'll be a good matchup. Rockies don't get to see Sonny Gray much. Rockies fans don't get to see him. The very gifted right-hander for the Oakland A's. Willeen Rosario leading things off for the Rockies in the 7th. They've been shut out through 6 innings. They've gotten just 4 hits off of Graveman.
Evan Scribner back up again in the A's bullpen. Bob Melvin's going to wait to see how this inning plays out. If he labors in the first hitter or two, he'll go get him.
On the outer edge, a strike. It's 1-2. That big 8th inning lead they blew against the Royals last year in the wild card game.
Orioles came in this weekend and swept them at home. It's the third time they've been swept at home this year.
They have a poorer record at home than they do on the road. At home, they're 14-23. Out on the road, they're 20-21. It still boggles my mind that they're 10 games under 500 and they're plus 40 in terms of run differential. You're plus 40. You're probably typically, 7, 8, 9 games above 500. I'll give you an idea. There are a couple of teams. The Nats, for instance, is a strikeout of Rosario. The Nats are plus 29. So their run differential not as good as the A's. And the Nats are 42-34, 8 games above 500. The Pittsburgh Pirates are just slightly better. They're plus 46 in run differential, and they're 9 games over 500. So when you look at that, and this typically works year to year, the A's, based on run differential, should be 7, 8, 9 games above 500 right now, yet they're not just hovering around 500, they're 10 below 500. So I guess if you're Bob Melvin, if you're Billy Beane, you look at that, as this is in the air to left, and you think, hard time's coming.
But the problem for them is they're 10 games back in the division.
Well, that's nothing to them. Do you remember in 2012, they were 5 back with 10 to play and won the division? It's the only time that's ever happened.
And Oakland's still leading the division. But since 1998, they have as many division titles as the Los Angeles Angels. I mean, they're tied at 6 apiece.
Isn't that something? No, most people wouldn't guess that.
No.
Nick Cunley, a fly ball to right and a fly ball to left. Like the Rockies get up there, and it's 30 seconds later, there's 2 outs, nobody on. This has been, unfortunately, an uninspiring offensive effort. And that is a base hit for Nick.
His first hit.
Yeah, first career hit against Oakland. 0 for 22 prior to that.
And why not show it again when you get your first hit against an organization? Right back where it came from. Graveman sees it go by him. Sogard tried to dive, came up empty.
Barnes can keep it moving. Barnes lined into a double play in the 5th inning. Lined the ball Brett Laurie, who doubled off Ben Paulson.
I was kind of wondering why he threw over twice.
You have a
Nick
5-0
lead.
Yeah.
And 2 outs.
That's one where a veteran infielder like Ike Davis would be yelling over him, hey, get the hitter. I mean, if that was Ricky Henderson over there, I wouldn't worry about him.
Well, Ricky, for one, would steal it anyway. You can throw over all you want. I'm still going to steal the bag.
Hey, good. Let him go.
Yeah, right.
Strikes on Brandon Barnes. To right field, and an easy play for Reddick. Hundley left on, and we'll stretch in Oakland. It's 5-0 A's. tickets. Rocks win at papajohns.com. Beautiful look at the Golden Gate Bridge.
There was no fog on the Golden Gate Bridge this afternoon. None.
There was this morning, though.
I wasn't up early enough to see that. I was telling you, that's why I said this afternoon.
You're missing a whole important portion of the day, my friend. Eric Sogard pulls this on the ground to DJ. He pulls it to his chest, 1 out.
Now batting shortstop, number 10,
Marcus Semien will come up. And unfortunately, that was redirected by Nolan into left field. It's a base hit for Semien. He runs well. I don't know. I don't know if it gets all the way to Tulo. As great as he is on that backhand and the throw from deep in the hole, I don't think he's going to be able to get Semien. Anyhow, it's a base hit. 1 on, 1 out. Billy Burns coming up. He's 0 for 3. He's got a 16-game hitting streak on the line.
And Nolan gets to so many balls, and people will say, well, why didn't Troy call him up? No, if the third baseman can get it, I know Nolan's saying, my bad, I shouldn't have gone. But you can't fault this guy for his range. I mean, most guys wouldn't even come within a dive of that.
On the inside corner for a strike. Burns hitting .365 during his 16-game hitting streak. He's 1 off the all-time A's rookie record of 17 straight. Mike Edwards in 78, Luis Polonia in 87, and Terrence Long in 2000.
Burns, he's also made some highlight reel catches in center field.
Well, somebody didn't care that he was a 32nd round pick and said he's a player. Oh, 2 on Burns. David Hale gave up 2 two-run home runs in the first. He's allowed only a run since then. That was the home run by Billy Butler in the 4th.
David was 5 hits.
Yeah, David working here with 1 out in the 7th. There goes Semien. It's fouled off.
Now for the infielders, especially Troy and DJ, where you just see the runner take off on the prior pitch. You have to pay attention to the signs and what's happening. If it's a fastball away, mix up your coverage where DJ would cover, and Billy will shoot the ball to the left side. You see a changeup or a slider that you know is going to be down and in, then Troy would cover. Just like these games that the middle guys play, they're trying to think along and what's happening with the opposing team.
One and 2.
And Christian Friedrich just got up and started throwing down in the bullpen. It's just his second throw.
pitch out, nothing going on.
Sometimes if a pitcher does a pitch out too fast, that'll alert the base runner that something's going on. There's a fine line for a pitcher, being too fast and too slow on a pitch out. Too fast, that clock in that base runner's head said, "Nuh-uh, I can't go."
Burns went to Mercer University in Georgia. And Barnes in foul ground makes the catch. He was shaded in that direction. Great jump. And Burns is retired, second out in the 7th.
After so many foul balls and scouting reports, granted it moved over a good 10-15 feet towards the line, almost like a right-handed pole hitter would be. A little bit more room. We've talked about foul territory. Yeah, around first and third base and going down the lines, but also way out in the outfield.
And a ground ball right at Ben Paulson from Stephen Vogt. That ends the inning, so we'll go to the 8th inning. And it remains 5-0 Oakland. Top of the order for the Rockies in the 8th. It is 5-0 Oakland. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. The work tonight of Kendall Graveman. He goes 7 innings, a shutout baseball, 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 111 pitches for Graveman. He came in with a 1.86 ERA over his previous 4 ball games, and from Bob Melvin's perspective, he did not disappoint. So now the Rockies will try to rally against the bullpen of Oakland. And first out of the pen tonight for the A's, Evan Scribner, who first reached the big leagues in a Padres uniform, got 10 games in with him. So the more veteran Rockies saw him at that point in time, perhaps.
That was back in 2011. He had 3 innings pitched against Colorado. Spent most of last year with their AAA club, Sacramento.
He's out of Central Connecticut State. Another example of, like we were talking about Billy Burns. And a bailout late by Zobrist. If you can play, they will find you.
Just keep that uniform on as long as you can.
Yeah. Last year, the bullpen was third best in baseball. A run and a half worse this year. You couple that with the fact that they're giving up about almost 2/3 of a run on average a game due to shoddy defense. And that's why you're 10 games under 500 as opposed to perhaps being 10 games above 500.
And also talking to some scouts that have been watching the A's quite a bit this year, they're saying that sometimes those errors are even plays that they just don't make that aren't ruled errors. They also had 12 blown saves. I mean, this is the time to get after the A's. Once that starter gets out of there, you have a chance.
Charlie hits one high in the air to deep right field. It's got a chance, and it is gone. That's a home run. Charlie Blackmon with his 10th of the year. And here come the Rockies. It's now 5-1.
Almost on cue of what we were talking about. A 2-1 pitch from Evan Scribner.
I was watching Reddick drift back, and it looked the whole time like he thought he was going to have a play.
He just kept going back, and with that high wall, you don't know. Because there's a portion right over that auxiliary scoreboard. You know, they have the yellow line, but you can't tell how far this ball is going to travel. I mean, you see it come back off the wall, but that's after it hit the concrete.
Ball and a strike on LeMahieu. 3 groundouts tonight for DJ. Scribner strikes out DJ. 1 out.
A pretty special day coming up on July 11th. That's Military Appreciation Day. Active military and veterans receive complimentary tickets, and discounts are available for family and friends. Come early for the celebration. Military Appreciation Day, July 11th.
Troy has reached all 3 times tonight, a walk and 2 singles. He has a 13-game hitting streak. He's reaching a career best 29 in a row. Drew Pomerantz, we were talking about him a few minutes ago. He is starting to throw in the bullpen for Oakland, and another hit for Tulowitzki.
All 3 hits have been in the same location.
You have to throw a blanket over where they landed. Pomerantz.
Now batting, 28.
And Tyler Clippard, who's the 9th inning man.
We're going to have a timeout as Tyler threw the ball into left field. They're going to have to hold up here for a moment, or they're just going to let the ball stay out there.
Somebody finally noticed. Ben Zobrist was waving his arms, and then he said, well, nobody's paying attention. I better get ready to go. And finally, the home plate umpire, Dan Bellino, saw him. Arenado kept his hitting streak alive with a base hit in the 6th, so he's hit 16 in a row. Burns, who came in with a 16-game hitting streak, is 0 for 4, the center fielder for Oakland. More importantly, the Rockies need a bunch of offense here in the 8th inning, down by 4 runs. Nice start to the inning with the Blackmon home run, his 10th of the year. That matches Cargo for second on the team behind Nolan's 24.
And you know, after that home run and then Troy with the base hit, that some of the A's players are saying, uh-oh, here we go again with some of the issues we're having with our bullpen. They're 6-16. A 4.30 ERA out of the pen. That's 27th in the major league. They're tied for the fewest wins, tied for second most losses. I mean, the list goes on and on. What was that sign that used to be in the manager's office? A couple of the things you need in life are some good friends and a good bullpen.
Isn't that the truth? You show me a winning manager and I'll show you a team that typically has a good bullpen. They go hand in hand. And that's probably the thing that you judge managers on, especially in the National League, the most, how they handle that bullpen. And in foul ground, there's room for Ike Davis. Arenado retired. Scribner got him to reach. Bob Melvin's coming out. He's going to bring on Pomerantz to face his former teammate Cargo. (5-1) as Drew Pomerantz comes in back after this.
Cuts in just a moment. Fans All-Star voting ends July 2nd, so be sure to vote for your Rockies All-Stars. Vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot exclusively at Rockies.com. And don't miss the 86th All-Star Game on July 14th. Coverage starts at 5 Mountain Time on Fox. And on the hill for the Oakland A's is Drew Pomerantz, 20 games. He does have 8 starts. If you remember, with the Rockies for 3 years from 2011 to 13, he was 4-14 with a 5.20 ERA. But he has done a better job out of the bullpen, and especially against lefties who are hitting just 138, 8 for 58.
6-6 with a 3.40 ERA, 18 starts with Oakland. His first pitch against his former club, he gets a swinging strike from Cargo. Cargo, a walk in the 4th inning. Couple of ground outs.
He had a big hit in that San Francisco series.
Left on left against Javi Lopez.
Double off the wall.
Broke the 3-3 tie Friday. Cargo had a 5-hit night on Friday, matching his career best. First 5-hit ball game for a Rocky this year. 1 ball, 1 strike. Borderline pitch called a ball. Pomerantz was the 5th pick in the draft at Ole Miss by the Cleveland Indians. He was the prize of the 4 players acquired in the Ubaldo Jimenez trade. Did not work out in Colorado. He strikes out Cargo to end the inning. The Rockies did get a run on the Blackmon home run. It is 5-1 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Mike Shaw Subaru, always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. By Saratoga Casino, so new, so you. And by Office Liquidators, offering Colorado's largest selection and lowest prices for new, used, and refurbished office furniture. Christian Friedrich is throwing the 8th inning for the Rockies. Ben Zobrist at the plate. Zobrist flips over to the right side, and he took strike 1. That pitch is high. 1 ball, 1 strike.
A little higher average from the right side for Zobrist, but for Christian Friedrich, he's only been scored one time in his last 9 games with a 2.16 ERA.
David Hale goes 7 innings. He got better after the first, but he gave up 2 two-run home runs in the first and a solo home run in the 4th inning to Billy Butler. In all, it was 5 runs in 7 innings on 9 hits. Did not walk anybody, struck out 2. But the Rockies' offense, other than the Blackmon home run, has been non-existent tonight. It's been Tulowitzki, 3 singles, and the home run by Blackmon, and that's basically all.
Well, and then the 3 home runs that the A's have hit. That's 60 home runs that have been allowed by the Rockies starter, which is tied for 4th most in the national or major leagues.
Well, to give you an idea, the A's had 65 home runs as a club coming in, 68 after the 3 tonight. That's against everybody. The Rockies starting rotation has given up 60.
Yeah, the leader is Milwaukee. They've given up 66.
Butler looking on. He's 2 doors down. Zobrist.
He went.
Looked like he went. Zobrist getting in the face of Dan Bellino. He wanted Bellino at least to check it out with Brian Blackney.
And I don't blame him. This is one thing that Major League Baseball is going to look at and talk about next year is just having the first and third base umpires call this, because it's hard for a home plate umpire. And I can see why Ben Zobrist, that's right on the edge of being a swinging strike. But Major League Baseball has talked about just taking that out of the hands of the home plate umpire, because you're watching the swing, the ball, everything going on. Pretty tough to do.
Yep. Even for the corner umpires,
it's hard. That's one of the harder calls they have.
It's almost a flip of the coin. Very difficult. 1 out. Josh Reddick hit a 2-run home run in the first, a strikeout and a pop out since then. Rockies ended up dropping 2 of 3 in San Francisco despite having a lead in all 3 ball games. And unless they rally here, they're in jeopardy of losing their 14th straight game on the road against the American League.
Their last win was down in Texas back on May 7th of last year. The game they won 9-2.
Tyler Clippard, the one-time Washington National, getting loose. Fans follow @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies do score 7 or more in a game. 3-2 on Reddick. That one's fouled off. Curveball, where's that? Looked pretty good.
Must have been out.
Reddick walks with 1 out. Butler coming up. It was off the plate.
It was off the forward strike zone. Just from our angle, it appeared to catch the corner. Nick tried to hold it and steal one. Gambolino said nope.
Single home run, ground ball to third for Butler. Christian get a ground ball here. It's a guy that highly likely to ground into a double play if he puts it on the floor. 5-1 in the 8th inning. Butler's career high in home runs, 29 in 2012. For a barrel-chested guy, he's better known for being a high-quality hitter for average than he is for power. 2012 season aside. In fact, the last 2.5 years, he's hit a grand total of 30 home runs.
A lot of doubles.
Yep.
He'll take pitches.
He was one of the leaders of the Kansas City Royals. fan favorite also. They were, I'm sure, very unhappy when Butler came to Oakland.
Good block.
Free agent signee by Billy Beane. Billy's never been afraid to make a move, has he?
No, he hasn't. Been here since October 17th of 1997. That's when he was named GM of the A's.
And they've been to 8 postseasons. Three in a row. And that's a fair ball down the left field line. Reddick to third. Mike Gallego's going to send him, and Reddick's going to score. And then the throw goes through, and Butler's going to go to third. Tulo let that go, and somebody should have told him to eat it because he had no play on Reddick, and it's going to be a throwing error on Troy. So a run-scoring double for Butler, his 34th RBI. And it is 6-1 Oakland.
Billy pulls one inside the bag at third base. Once he gets it back in. But where Troy caught that, that's the hardest throw for a shortstop. Because you catch it a step in foul territory. And now you're going to have to try to throw back, and you have a runner going towards the catcher. And that sight line is off because you really don't have a lane to throw in. He should have just eaten it, as you said, Drew.
Towering pop-up on the right side, and LeMahieu will make the catch. Davis retired, and that's the second out. So the infield can drop back. Brett Laurie will come up.
Now batting third baseman, number 15, Brett Laurie.
Laurie's had a big June, 329 average in the month of June. Struggled out of the gate this year with Oakland, and that is a base hit. Cargo dives, got to pop up. Laurie is flying towards third. He's going to have himself a triple, and it's 7-1 Oakland.
First triple of the season for Brett. Cargo lays out for this. He knows if he doesn't get it, it's going to be a base hit and RBI anyway. When he gets by him, leads to the triple. That's the 20th triple as a team for the A's. It's second most in the American League. Detroit has 24.
Yeah, this has been one flat ugly night for the Rockies. They've done virtually nothing offensively. They've given up the long ball 3 times, and unfortunately for Christian, he continues to struggle to get right-handed hitters out. There's Oakland right behind Detroit. Triples, as Jeff was talking about. Sogard swings and misses. 0-2. 3-2 on Sogard. Walks the lefty, and that'll bring up the shortstop Marcus Semien. Steve Foster will go out.
You don't want to have to get anybody else up in the bullpen.
Not in a 7-1 game with
two
outs in the 8th inning.
I'm sure that's what Steve's telling him. This is yours, pal.
Now the problem is the two lefties he faced in the inning, 2 of the 3, he faced Ike Davis. He got Davis to pop out, but he walked Reddick, who scored, and with a chance to put the inning down, he just walked Sogard. Light hitting second baseman. Semien had a base hit off the glove of Nolan Arenado. Nolan made a great effort just to get to the baseball on a dive. Semien's 1 for 3. California kid. And this is hit well to right center field, but Cargo should have room. He will in the middle of the track. That ends the inning. 2 more runs for Oakland. They'll take a 7-1 lead in the 9th inning at the Coliseum. Clippard. 7-1 Oakland. Clippard is pitching pretty well. First hitter is just 4 for 28 this year against Tyler. Setup man for several years with Washington and a good one.
Well, he was an all-star last year for the second time with Washington.
Lefty's hitting just 105 against Clippard. Jumps out at you.
Yeah, made 75 relief appearances last year. Now in left field will be Sam Fuld going in for a little defense.
Number 20, Lee Rosario.
The designated hitter, Willeen Rosario. Willeen 0 for 3. A couple of strikeouts against Kendall Graveman. This is interesting. I'm looking down at the Rockies bullpen. And John Axford is throwing, so I guess they wanted him to get a little work tonight in the bullpen. Obviously, unless something changes dramatically, he's not going to be in the ball game.
He did pitch it all in the San Francisco series. The last game he appeared in was the 25th, and that was Thursday.
So that has to be the reason he's throwing.
I'm sure it's what the relievers call just a touch and feel bullpen, just to get out there, just to get a feel of a few pitches, but don't overexert yourself.
One and two on Willeen. Curveball spiked, and it's 2-2. Three and two. He overthrew that fastball. First time the Rockies have seen the A's since 2012. The A's swept the Rockies at Coors Field that year. Last time Colorado was here was 2009. The Rockies swept the A's at the Coliseum.
You weren't here in 2009.
I took a few days off.
You called your first Major League Baseball game at this stadium, though, didn't you?
Mark McGuire was playing for the A's. It was in, I want to say it was 97, right around there. It had been so long, I got lost, you know, kind of doing what we do, you know, how to get to the booth and the clubhouse and that sort of thing in every stadium. Felt like I was in a foreign land.
Well, have no fear. You've been coming here for all those years.
You played here. You
played
forgot
here.
also?
I forgot too. I was here back in 2009. There's so many elevators and ramps and this and that here.
It's a big place. Ball four, so Willeen works out a walk. Now to bring up Ben Paulson. Tonight's game changer is brought to you by T-Mobile. You go back to the first inning. David Hale got the first two men out. Then there was the two-run home run by Josh Reddick, and then Ike Davis hit a two-run home run. And it was 4-0. And yep, David Hale would yell into his glove. Ben, a sharp single in the second. He walked in the fifth, so Paulson's 1 for 2. Rockies have had a runner to second base exactly twice in this game. Charlie Blackmon, when he was jogging through on his home run, and in the 6th inning, back-to-back hits to Tulowitzki and Arenado. That is it.
Charlie's doesn't count as a runner in scoring position, so they're 0 for 1.
Yep. Daniel Descalso sitting next to Tulowitzki. Wow, Clippard, this may be a case, 2-1. Stephen Vogt sprinting out. This may be that classic case where the closer's in a game, but it's not the adrenaline rush of a save situation if you buy into such things, which I'm looking at you and you don't necessarily.
I don't, because I don't care if it's a save situation or not. It's still competing. It's still going out there and me against you. So that's why I don't buy that.
Paulson hits it in the air to Reddick and right. Out number 1, Nick Hundley coming up.
But I do know some closers that wouldn't want to go into a game like this. And even if they were warmed up, they'd say, try to get somebody else going.
And Bob Melvin will handle that question later invariably. Somebody will say, well, why, you know, it's a 6-run game. Why did you put him in there? And he'll tell you because he was warming up. He was warming up because when the inning began, the bottom of the 8th inning, when his preparations began, It was a 4-run game. Not a save situation, but a situation where a lot of managers still opt for their closer. And I think some people don't always understand that. It's not just the work in terms of pitches thrown on the field of play. It's how many pitches are thrown in a bullpen. It's how many times a guy gets up. Now, closer's just going to get up one time. But a middle relief guy may get up 2, sometimes 3 times in a game. And the old line was, and I'm sure it still exists now, is if you get up 3 times, you're either in the game or you're done for the day.
You're done. So the pitching coach has all that information after the game. So the next day when he goes to the manager, say, okay, this guy's available, this guy this guy is not, because we got him up 2 or 3 times yesterday. He worked the previous 2 games. We can't use him those 3 days in a row.
Yeah, he threw 48 pitches in the bullpen. This is going to be kicked by Semien. It was right around the bag. And there's that A's defense that has been a problem all year. They don't get anybody out. See how this is scored. Hundley at first now. Rosario at second.
I think they'll give him an E6. He thought it was going to go off the bag, and it will go down as an error for the 24th time for Marcus Semien. Right? He thought it was going to catch off the corner, or he tried to change direction so he could get back to second base before he caught the baseball. Either one of those two led to the error, and now a couple guys on.
Brandon Barnes. Ground out, lined into a double play, and a fly ball to Reddick in right. Top of the strike zone on the outside corner. It's 0-2.
Making Tyler work in this half inning.
And a breaking ball fans Brandon, so they're 2 gone. And that'll bring up Blackman.
One of the bright spots tonight for Colorado offensively was this swing by Charlie Blackman. He's one of the few that was going right, and Charlie got up underneath it and took it into that first row of seats.
Ball for a strike. Seven hits tonight. The home run by Blackman, 6 singles otherwise.
3 of them by Troy.
First inning was a punch to the gut for the Rockies, down 4-0. It was a big number to overcome. Graveman pitched well, but on the other side of it, you had 27 outs, or actually at that point 24 outs still to work with offensively.
And all 4 of the runs for the A's came with 2 outs. That's another punch to the gut. But they just couldn't solve Kendall Graveman tonight. Ends up going 7 innings, 5 hits.
Two and two on Blackman. And Charlie bounces it to second. Sogard's got it, and the A's have extended the Rockies' misery against the American League out on the road. The final score 7-1. The Rockies have now lost 14 consecutive games in American League ballparks. Hard to figure. The winning pitcher tonight is Kendall Graveman. He improves to 5-4. David Hale takes the loss. He is 2-3. Once again, 7-1 tonight. The Rockies fall to Oakland. They're 1-3 on this 10-game road trip. We'll take you from the O.CO Coliseum in Oakland to our Root Sports studios in Denver.